take a walk with me, not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't done so already, why have you not? Jump right on over to opspodcast.com. Leave us a little review on the show. We are in this new season called Aglid, season 11. Excited about it. You should be excited about it. Again, just to remind, the Aglid, that plastic thing, that metal thing, you know, at the end of your shoelace. Thank you, Phineas and Ferb, for reminding us of the Aglid. What's that one thing for you right now as you think about this and you hear this? What's that one thing for you if it wasn't in your life? Your life would completely unravel. Now, I know for some of you, it's, you know, the easy answer, the Sunday school answer. It's Jesus, of course, right? That's the Sunday school answer. But let's step beyond that Sunday school answer. Let's talk to my new friend out in the wonderful, I'm sure, metropolis. Hopefully they got there fast because, you know, I've heard when the Oklahoma land rush happened, they called them Sooners. They were trying to get there fast, and that's why they were called the Sooners. So help me welcome him in, my new friend from the great state of Oklahoma, Christian. Christian, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Neil. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, we are joined also with Christian, his loving mom, Kim. Kim, how are you today?
Doing great now. Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Now, Kim, I got to be honest with you. When you came across kind of our sphere of influence, our good friend Jody Howe from the Air That I Breathe podcast kind of shared your information with us and got us connected in some respects. So I want to thank her for that right now. She's a great friend. I don't know if she's necessarily a fan of the show. Well, she's a fan of the show. She's just not a fan of North Carolina. So that's more of a dig on Jody right now. I will say this. We got to know what style of shoe you wear too, Kim. So hang tight. We're going to get to Christian, then we're going to come back to you. So Christian, help me with this question if you can. What size shoes do you wear?
Big, not little. 13s.
You wear a big 13, huh? Okay. And is there a style or brand that you like more than another?
Yeah, there's a couple. Of course, I love Nike, but I love Under Armour as well. I'm a big Under Armour fan.
Don't forget your cowboy boots.
Yes, thank you. And I love to wear boots as well. Don't get me
You
wrong.
live in Oklahoma.
I think if you're in Oklahoma, is it like a state requirement? Like as soon as you cross the line, they like hand you a pair of cowboy boots? Is that how that works?
Good.
They should. I don't think they do, but they maybe in some parts of Oklahoma they might.
That's fun stuff. Well, I do actually own a pair of Under Armour shoes. They're actually Steph Curry shoes, believe it or not. And there's a Bible verse on them, in fact. And it says, I can do all things, believe it or not. Before we go today, I'm going to have to show you these shoes. They're out in the garage. They didn't make it into the studio, as you can kind of see behind me.
Well, the back of his shirt says, I can do all things.
You need these shoes then. I don't know if I can get you a size 13, but I feel like we need to get you in these shoes. Anyway, I'll show them to you now that we're talking that. All right, so Kim, help us with you too. Not shoe size, because apparently it's bad. It's bad to ask a lady her shoe size. So I'm not going to do that. I started to. I stopped. We need some forgiveness there. But Kim, if we were going to ask you that question, what style? That's important. What style of shoe do you like to wear?
Depends on the season. All summer, I wear a lot of flip-flops. We go to the beach a lot. My other son lives in Pensacola. So a lot of flip-flops and sandals all spring, summer, part of the fall. I don't wear cowboy boots, but I wear boots. I wear boots in winter and tennis shoes, pretty much.
I don't know if I can gather around the flip-flop thing. Like if we were at a campfire, I don't know if I could gather around that. I as much as I love shoes, I don't like flip-flops and I don't like bare feet. It's very weird to me. I know, being a shoe guy, you would think that I would like those things, but I don't.
I don't do barefoot. Even living in Oklahoma, you don't catch me going outside. Not going to happen. I did that once, stepped on a bee, and I'm not doing it again.
Well, guys, let's get into this. Christian, first off, help me with something.
Okay.
You kind of had this very much a traumatic event happen in your life.
Yes.
Help me walk through that again, if you don't mind. Kim's the mom, Christian's the son. Christian, you had this amazing, in some respects, but also very traumatic event happen to you. So can you walk me back through that event and maybe those days, what that was like?
Around 9 years ago, I was with some boys that, we all played football together, so just hang out with the guys, but they weren't friends, they were acquaintances, thought it'd be cool to go hang out with the boys, ended up was a mistake. It was something I wish I had never. It might be cool to hang out with. Let's just say they were on the party side, which I am not. Thank God for that. You know what I mean? We all make mistakes. Accidents do occur, but this wasn't an accident. When I was with them, the boy's mother was driving. She was extremely drunk. And see, ATVs, they don't have doors, they don't have seatbelts, they don't have hoods, and it was not wearing a helmet. Four really bad things right there. She was driving extremely fast, and I was screaming at her to slow down. I tell people all the time, basically what I was saying to her went in one ear and right out the next. She ignored me, basically. She ended up crashing the ATV, or the four-wheeler, and I flew off, and you should visualize. I mean, I'm 6'7". I'm a big piece of meat. Some people say laugh out loud as a joke. I mean, my entire brain was injured, and it was so traumatic. It was so scary. I was injured so very severely. I really think about this. I didn't have a broken bone. I'm 6'7". That's huge. We're not to have a broken bone, a broken ankle, broken knee, nothing's broken. I mean, think about that. Not having a broken bone, a scratch, or anything. That's obviously God. If there's a God, why did you have a brain injury? Well, we still live in a sinful world. Sadly, but we do. I wouldn't change what happened to me for all the money in the world. I mean, I died. I met the face of God. I met Jesus. I met the Lord, our Savior, our King, our Redeemer. And he smiled and he kind of said, welcome home, but he didn't say welcome home. He said, Christian, you're so young. He told me he loves me. See, I was 16 at the time. And he asked me if I would like to stay with him in heaven. And some of the family, I met both grandpas and other people in the family. It felt so right and so perfect. I knew it. I couldn't not be here with my mom. I love her so much. So blessed for that, for her. I want to come home, and so he let me come back home. And it was very, very, very hard.
So when she wouldn't slow down and she crashed, what did she do?
She knew she was in trouble, so she left me. She told the boys what to say to the officers, the police. Say, you say this, and he forced me to drive. Was drinking all the alcohol. Lie. I did not force her to let me drive. I did not force her for the alcohol. You know, I understand that we make mistakes. I was a kid, you know. I felt I was on top of the world, which I wasn't. I know right from wrong. I know what I should do and what I shouldn't do. I'm not going to tell a woman, female, to let me drive. You better let me do this.
So when they crashed, instead of getting help, she immediately left. And she left him laying there, dying. She went to a friend who was a nurse, but instead of them coming to help him or check on him, that's not what they did, including the boys. After 3 hours, they decided that they had their story straight, and that's when they called for help. So it was during those 3 hours that Christian was laying in the ditch. That's when he died. That's when he went to heaven. I met my little sister, Vanessa. I can't really say she's little because, I mean, it happened many years before I met her. I told Mom that she had the same look, just like Mom. She said, "Man, she's a Christian." And she ran to me and she put her arms up. She asked for one hug, loved one. And so we put our arms up and we hugged each other, and it just felt so right. It felt so perfect. Everything in heaven was real, was perfect. But, you know, some people may say or think that there's no such thing as a God. He doesn't save lives. Oh, trust me, he does. And he loves me. He loves you. He loves anyone watching this right now. He loves you. He forgives you for all of your sins. Call on the name of Jesus, the name above all names, the name before all names, our Lord, and just say, "I'm sorry. Please forgive me for my sins." And I believe like that, you're forgiven. Breathtaking how wonderful of God we have. And he lets us live in this great country, United States of America.
Kim, you're taking care of Christian. You're, in all intensive purposes, you are his caregiver, right? It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, no days off, all the time helping him, yeah?
Yeah.
When's the last time Kim had a day off?
Well, every Wednesday, he goes to our church. We go to Life Church. There are campuses all over, and it's Pastor Craig Groeschel. And he volunteers to work with the youth. And our church doesn't have adult church on Wednesday. So that is 2 hours a week that I will go, and I'll either go to the nursing home where my husband is and spend those 2 hours with him, or sometimes, I'll go shopping, or I'll just go sit at a restaurant and eat, or maybe I'll go meet a friend and eat or something like that.
Okay, so let me get this straight. I got to do some math here. There's 168 hours in a week. Now that's counting sleeping time too. In fairness, that's 24 hours. That's 24 times 7, right? If we just take 2 hours a week, that drops us down to 166. Now, again, that's sleeping time too. So you mean to tell me that 166 hours a week, you are loving on your son, you are taking care of him, you're being, everything you can to him, and you get 2 hours a week?
Yeah, it's okay, isn't it, Christian?
It is A-okay, Jack.
Is it though? I mean,
it really is, because
okay, all right.
We have such a connection with each other. We are so,
thank God,
easily able to communicate or to see, since I don't have dad around to be able to talk to. I mean, us sons usually talk to their dads about whatever problems, issues, relationships, or whatever, I mean, I do have my cousin. He's more like an uncle to me. His name's Larry Haynes. We're really close. But, I think of him as another dad to me because he's always treating me just like one of his sons. And I so appreciate him and love him for that.
I mean, that was mind-blowing to me, by the way, when I was hearing you talk and all that.
You gotta let me say this, though, and I mean this in a loving, endearing way. He's like a little boy when it comes to his mama. He doesn't want to be separated from me.
Yeah.
He does not. And honestly, well, you don't. Do I ever go get my nails done by myself?
No, she doesn't. And I'm fine if she does. I'm not like I'm a...
This is my mom's home, so mom is here. So he could stay with mom while I go do my nails or something, but ain't gonna have it. But that's fine. Thank God.
And I can see that in the dynamic. I mean, that doesn't necessarily maybe translate to audio, but I can see that in the dynamic. So I'll attest to that for you guys.
I think more ways of me being able to bless other people, meet new people, make new friends, or encourage someone new. And see, we're really living in a small town in Oklahoma, like nothing here. I mean, we have a Piggly Wiggly and a gas station. That's it.
We go to Arkansas every day.
We go to Fort Smith.
That's where we go. But I just want to say this. Being involved in, the world of brain injury, there are a lot of people that after their brain injury, they hate their spouse or their parent, their caregiver. They scream at them. They cuss at them. They're angry. I'll take this overly sweet, want to be with me all the time, any day of the week. I mean, I see some things that are so gut-wrenching that just tear my heart out. And he did go through a very depression, and he was angry, but he was never angry at me. So I just want to say that.
I appreciate you saying that. There could be others that would say, it's great that she's there. It's great that she's the mom. She's, she's the caregiver. She's the nurturer. Moms are nurturer by nature. I believe dads struggle with that. That's just my belief. I don't have any like Yale studies or Harvard studies that prove that, or Oklahoma theological, whatever. I don't have any of that. All I have is what I think in my mind, my perception on that. But Kim, I would go back to that night. 3 hours in the ditch. A mom is driving this ATV. You're a mom. How do you, as a mom, not want to just absolutely rage on this woman?
Yeah.
How do you even, in any ounce of your body, any ounce of your being, any ounce of whoever you are, choose, and it is a choice, to say, you know what? You left my son to die. I'm going to forgive you. How do you do that, Kim?
I know it's the simple, easy answer, but honestly, it is the true answer. There is no way I could have done it without God. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there were times when he was screaming with pain. There were times when he was screaming, I'm going to kill myself, or why did I ever come back from heaven? Or when the doctor's telling me, well, be prepared. He's very likely not going to survive this surgery. When he did survive, well, be prepared. What you have now is very likely what you're going to have from here on out, which was nothing. He wasn't awake. He was whole left side of his body was paralyzed. He was in diapers. I mean, we had nothing. He was, as they say, a vegetable. And then they were telling us that's what you're probably always going to have. I would be lying if I said there weren't times that when the incident happened, it started as an accident, but then it turned into a crime. When that happened, he was life flighted out of here to Tulsa, which is a couple hours away. I was in Cancun at the time with my daughter, so I wasn't even home. I'd never been away before. This was my first time, my daughter and I, our first time to ever have a mother-daughter trip. When I flew home to Tulsa, and I wasn't here. We were gone from here for altogether over two years in hospitals and rehabs and things. So I wasn't here where I would see her. My whole focus was him and getting him to survive and then getting him back somehow, some way, where he would talk, where he could sit up, where he could take a step. I knew immediately that I could not hate her, want her to die, want this to be her, want this to be her son on this hand, but on this hand, God, please, oh dear God, give us a miracle. Let him survive. Please, God, please, God, please, God. I hate you. I hate you. It's going to happen to you. I knew that I couldn't do that I had to take that hate and that unforgiveness and give it to him and push forward with trying to get him back, the young man that they said we wouldn't get back. That's my answer to that. I knew enough about God that I could not forgive.
But that's not what our Jesus thinks or says. Just through Christ, all things are possible. And don't ever give up faith with God. Don't ever give up hope. Always remember that a prayer, praying to Jesus, praying to God, praying to our Lord, He will help you. He will answer. It may not be immediately. It may not be that day. It may not be that year, but it will happen. He does help. I promise you that. I promise anyone who's watching and listening. Jesus, He is real. He is whole. He is truthful. He is faithful. Our God is an awesome God. And know that He loves you so much, just like He loves us so much.
You're in Cancun, you fly back to Tulsa, you don't know what you're walking into. Take me for that first hospital moment when you walk in, and I'm guessing he's got all kinds of just monitors and all kinds of stuff hooked up to him. They're trying to figure out brain activity. They're trying to figure out, assess the damage. But as he's laying on the ground, I heard an account that they decided to dump alcohol on him to make it appear that he was drunk while he was on the ATV.
Correct. Yes.
If I'm being candid here, that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
How could you do that? The dude's laying there dying. Your friends, whether they're your acquaintances, at the end of the day, you said it, Christian, they were your teammates. I don't know about anybody else. I don't treat my teammate like that.
Right.
You're supposed to have each other's back on that.
My dad was in the military. You're supposed to have my 6, which is my back. But Kim, walk me back. I thought that was an important piece to bring up. As you walk in to the Tulsa Medical Center, what is going through your mind as a mom?
Well, I was horrified. I mean, I can remember, just getting out of Cancun was an ordeal. We couldn't get a flight out. It was a nightmare. My daughter's husband called. I hadn't even got out of bed yet. I remember I was laying there thinking, well, what fun thing are we going to do today? And then the phone rings and it's her husband, Dustin, and they're talking. And all of a sudden I thought the word accident. And I thought, what'd she say? I thought she said Crystal, which is her friend. I thought, oh no, something happened to Crystal. And then she said Christian. And I thought, Christian. And then I heard her say life flighted. And then, I literally slid out of the bed onto my knees and I was crying out and saying, dear God, not Christian, not Christian. I mean, when I heard life flighted, that to me meant the worst of the worst. So after, when I could pull myself up, I grabbed the suitcase and started throwing stuff in the suitcase because we're out of here. My daughter started getting on the phone, trying to get us a flight out. We thought we could get out that day, but we couldn't. Come to find out, really the airport it's not this huge airport and all flights were booked. So we literally could not get out till the following morning, 6 a.m. after hours of trying to get out of there. Been downstairs at the office. They were trying to help us. Now our flight is booked for the next morning. We go back up to our room and we just kind of collapse on the bed, the couch, whatever. And my daughter said, Mom, we can't just sit here. And I said, well, what do you mean? We're not going to do anything. She says, well, let's maybe take a walk. You want to take a walk on the beach? I said, Yes, let's go take a walk. To me, the beach is so healing and it's so spiritual. It's so beautiful. I'm like, let's do it. So we walk out there and our hotel is right on the beach. You can see beach as far as you can see to the left for miles, as far as you can see to the right. Our God put right in front of me as we're walking out to the beach, this little blue cross in the sand. I was walking, I stopped right before I stepped on it. And I said to my daughter, I said, Mia, what is that? And I knew what it was. It was God tapping me on the shoulder saying, I'm here. It's home with me today. It's in my jewelry box. I've got it framed. It's on my living room wall. I mean, a picture of it in the sand. And then we're walking and she takes a few snapshots of just the water. And as later, fast forward like 3-4 weeks later, I hadn't seen any of the pictures. I wasn't interested in the pictures. She showed my mom pictures of the ocean. And my mom says, oh my gosh, look at that. It is a picture of this storm in the background out in the ocean coming in. It's one set of footprints, only one. In Cancun, where there are thousands of people. And in other pictures, there's thousands of, could just see footprints everywhere. But this picture is just one set. And we did not stage that. We didn't plan it. We didn't even see it until my mom pointed it out. So that day, God, not once, but twice, to me, he tapped us on the shoulder and said, I'm here. I cannot tell you, my heart was racing. My legs felt weak. The whole trip, we actually get to the hospital. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Walking down the hall, and his room was the very last room. We get to the door and I stopped. I froze. There he is lying in this bed. The entire wall was machines and lights and all this sound, and he's hooked up to all of that. My 16-year-old baby that we never argued. He was the best kid in the world like he is today. He never got in trouble. The teachers loved him. The kids loved him. These coaches loved him. Never a problem ever. And there he was. And knowing it was his brain. Everything else heals. Brain, it's a whole different story. I couldn't walk. My husband, he immediately came to the door and we embraced, and I just, like going down. He had to hold me up. My legs were just not going to hold me up.
They were trembling.
Yeah, they were trembling. When you say weak-kneed, I was weak-kneed. That was the beginning of our new world. Life has never been the same. Very beginning, they said it was just touch and go that he would even survive. Day 6, they had tried to control the swelling in his brain, but it just wasn't working. A neurologist came to us and said, if we don't do surgery now, we're going to lose him now. And so go, do it. Where do I sign? Go do it. They had to tell us he might not survive the surgery. We signed the papers, and then I ran out the room. I literally ran out of that room. Again, I fell to my knees out in the hallway, and my daughter chased me down, and she said, Mom, you have to believe. You're the one that always said, we have to believe, we have to believe, we have to know. So they did surgery. Most times it's one side. They will remove skull from one side. But with Christian, it was so severe. They removed 2 pieces of skull the size of a grapefruit, both sides. Very unusual. And he survived the surgery. He survived that. After we were in the hospital about a month, they started saying, well, we've done all we can. There's nothing more we can do for Christian. Where are you going to take him? And it was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Where would we take him? Well, you have to find a rehab facility. Okay, well, where do you suggest? So that ended up being just a whole nother huge nightmare. I mean, we did go to a place in Oklahoma City for 2.5 months, but then they started saying, okay, we've done all we can do. And Christian he was completely out of it. He wasn't saying a word. He wouldn't look at you. He couldn't hold his head up. I was constantly having to prop his head up with pillows, and they're trying to rehab him. He wasn't even awake enough to rehab him, but that's, what they do. So they started saying, we've done all we can do. Where are you going to go? Well, I don't know. You tell me. Where are we going to go? Then we had to go back and do the surgery to put the bone plates back in after 2.5 months. There was a shunt put in, and it got infected. So that infection almost killed him, literally.
Again.
So it was supposed to only be about a week to go back in and put these back in. We were in the hospital for over 2 months because of the infection. And we literally, when I say we almost lost him, we literally almost lost him all over again. Then in the meantime, my husband had a heart attack in the hospital room with Christian. We would stay with Christian 24/7. We would never leave his side. My husband's health at the time, we thought anyway, was stronger and better than mine. He always had much more energy than me. So my husband would spend every night in the hospital room with him. I would be with Christian all day long. We stayed in Ronald McDonald House, but more than anything, we stayed in a facility called the Hospitality House. Thank God for them. So that's where my mom and I would go to sleep at night. My husband insisted. So he wasn't getting proper sleep in the middle of the night. He had his first heart attack right there with Christian. They came to us again and said, okay, Christian he's past the infection. Where are you going to take him? You have no idea how much time trying to find a facility that would take him. Either they wouldn't take Oklahoma Medicaid, or he was too young, or he was too sick. Oklahoma Medicaid refused to pay for him to go out of state. So my choices were super, super limited. So they started saying, well, look, you have to decide. Are you taking him to a nursing home or are you taking him home? And my reply was, are you kidding me? He can't go to a nursing home. He can't come home. He is 6'7". He's in diapers. He can't talk. He can't walk. He can't eat. And you want me to take him home, or you want me to take him to a nursing home where he will get zip over my dead body? But we ended up in a nursing home, which was the hardest part of this whole journey, was being in that nursing home. I reached out to our state representative, which his name is John Bennett, and I told him our story, what was going on, that we are now stuck in a nursing home. He's not getting any help. He's just wasting away in a nursing home. He is a Christian man. He went to visit us in the nursing home, and when he left, he got out to the parking lot, and he later told us that the Lord told him, you do whatever you have to do to get him out of that nursing home. Christian is going to have a platform. He is going to bring thousands to me. You do what you have to do. So he got with his friend, Senator Allen, and they went to Oklahoma Medicaid and said, if we can't take care of this boy here in our state, if we don't have the means, if we don't have facilities, then we, by golly, will pay for him to go out of state. I had a phone call, actually, while we were touring a facility down in Florida where we wanted to take him. I got a phone call from the main person of Oklahoma Medicaid, called me personally. They knew I was in Florida looking for a facility, and called me and said, this is so-and-so, and we have attorney so-and-so here and attorney so-and-so here, and we're calling you to let you know we will not pay for Christian to go out of state. I said, okay, thank you, and have a nice day. I hung up. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. We're down there touring where we want to take our boy to get him proper help. I sent a text to John Bennett, told him. He wrote back, and he said,
that's it.
Yeah.
He said, I'm on it.
He said, Senator Allen and I are engaged. Yeah, he's military. So he's like, we're on it. So bottom line was, about 3 weeks later, I got another phone call saying, Miss Mayberry, wherever you would like to send Christian, you find the facility, we will pay for it. However long he needs to be there, we will pay for it. Yeah. We will pay for the medical flight to get him there. After it had been 1 year after the accident, we headed down to Wauchula, Florida. And that's where Christian was able to learn to walk, just to learn a number of things. These men are like family to us now. Yeah. In fact, we saw John just the other night. But if it weren't for them, and I also, a friend of ours, Mandy McLaughlin, reached out to Julie Weintraub, who is his advocate, who coincidentally lives down in Tampa, Florida. She made a phone call to them as well. And she said, I know what you're doing to Christian Mayberry. And if you don't give him proper rehab, the entire country is going to know why you're not giving Christian proper rehab. We had some strong help. Thank God.
Thank you so much for walking us through that. We often say when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. What you walked us through was a different perspective, that mom perspective that no one has but you. And thank you. I know that was traumatic. And by the way, my wife and I are going to Cancun in August, so I'm going to be looking the beach for a cross. I better find one or I'm going to be really mad. I want a refund on my trip. The scene and the picture, and I'm getting teary-eyed as you're talking about all this. It was getting to me, and thank you for letting me in, and thank you for sharing that with me. That was so precious. Christian, I want to turn to you for a second. Now, I'm going to be a skeptic for a minute. Do I believe you went to heaven? I want to believe in my heart of of hearts you went to heaven. And this is just me. 13 is an easy size to get into because I wear an 11. They probably look like clown shoes on me, but I could get into them. It just looked funny. When I heard about you saying that you had gone to heaven, that you'd met Jesus, that you'd met some relatives, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, did he though? I don't know. If I went to heaven and Jesus says, hey, you can stay or you can go back. Listen, I've been in this world 42 years. There's not a second in my mind, as painful as it would be to say goodbye to my wife and daughter, the two most important people in my life. I think I would have a hard time saying, yeah, send me back. My granny's there. I love her dearly. There's a lot of people that I have met in my life that have passed on from past church experiences, elders that I've walked through, men in my life that are key figures in my life as far as building me into the man that I am today, that I'd love to go see. I mean, let's face it, there's some Bible characters I'd like to get next to at the coffee bar, if they have a coffee bar in heaven. I don't know. Make me a believer in what you said.
Why would you come back to this earth? Of course, heaven is perfect. Everything perfect. Everything's happy. You feel completely peaceful, comfortable. I can tell you one thing, I'm pretty quite sure you can't get tired out of energy or exhausted, ready to pass out on the couch or bed. You don't feel nothing negative. There's no hate. There's no darkness. There's no he said, she said, or, no comparing things. Why do they have to have better shoes than me or a nicer house, good or bad?
So why would you want to come back? He was 16. That's the difference.
Yeah, I was 16. I was just starting my life, basically. For Jesus to say that one day I will have a wife and kids, and I love kids like crazy, and I want that certain someone to be for me to fall in love with, that we live happily ever after. I don't want me and I ask her to marry me, and more sweet things to say. Of course, I want that very bad. I think that's one of the most beautiful things ever, is to have a wife, to be able to support her, that she'll support me, and just everything else. And to be able to help more and more people find God, find Jesus. Because so many people, I know that people are scared to turn their lives around toward God. Just maybe they may be afraid that He's going to maybe not like them as much because they're addicted to pornography, or they're addicted to weed, they're addicted to alcohol, whatever it may be. Just know that Jesus, I believe He already has forgiven you. But just call on the name of Jesus, say, Lord, I'm sorry for what I've done in my past. Please forgive me. And I believe He thinks, what sins? Your sins have been forgiven. Our God is an awesome God, and He loves us. He loves you more than your mama and your daddy loves you. He knows you more than anyone that you've ever met or seen knows you more than that. Really, I believe He knows us more than we know ourselves, because He's God. He's the everlasting God. He's the great I am. He's the first, the last, and the beginning and the end.
Christian, what did heaven smell like? Does it smell like anything?
No, I'm not sure if I can answer that question, because maybe I'm sure if anything, it hadn't been perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, he hasn't talked about that.
I haven't talked about the way it smells.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's no biblical evidence of this, but I imagine it smelling like baked cookies.
I like that
or brownies,
idea.
something sweet, something like roses. I imagine the sweetest of smells that we can't even fathom.
I believe I have heard that, and really, I'm sure I did, but I'm not going to fib or nothing. I mean, of course, I would never tell a small tale or anything with anyone, because that'd be like, seriously, you went to heaven and you make a lie or a fib to me? No, I'm not going to do that. But I imagine it had to have been perfect.
You mean the smell?
The smell, yeah. Yes, because everything else was perfect.
You talked about the Lord giving you a hug?
He asked me, he's a Christian. He's so perfect. He's the everlasting God. He's the great I am. He loves us so much. Oh my gosh, He loves us. And He asked me if I would like to have a hug. Because honestly, I mean, I'm a 6'7", but tall. That's all. I'm a tall drink of water. That's what us Okies say, or rednecks. He asked me if I would like to have a hug. I said I would love one. And He just put his beautiful arms around me, and He just embraced me with a beautiful, perfect hug, and it felt so just, oh my gosh, so perfect. And you're so comforting, so peaceful, so wow. And he told me he loves me. Say, yeah, I think he either said I love you, Christian, or I love you, son.
And he told you that you are going to have a platform, and that's something.
Yes. Thank you.
That he told John Bennett. And John Bennett, when John Bennett got that word from the Lord, Christian wasn't even really talking yet.
Mm-hmm.
So John Bennett, we didn't know. As mom and dad, we didn't even know that the Lord had told Christian that he was going to have a platform. So neither one of them knew that the other one had experienced that. But I want to say something about the hugs. Christian, I've never known anyone that hugs people the way Christian does. Everywhere we go, I don't care if it's the grocery store, whatever,
a gas station,
the nail salon, gas station. He meets people, he hugs people.
Mm-hmm.
And even during COVID, people would hug him back everywhere we went. And people always comment, that's the best hug I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people say, Christian, I don't normally hug people, but I'll hug you any day of the week. It's just been amazing the way people, and one day it just hit me. Oh my God. I thought, think of it. Christian got a hug from Jesus, and now he hugs. If you get this close to Christian, you're going to get a Christian hug, and people love it. They love his hugs. And it just kind of hit me. Jesus gave him a hug.
I swear to you, as the Lord is my witness, or as God is my witness, I have conversations with God in my mind. If I feel like someone's going through misery, they're going through pain, who knows what they're going through in their lives, I will have a sense in my spirit, my heart will tell me, you need to hug that person, that woman, that man. And I ask them, you mind if I give you a hug? If they say yes, then I put my arms around them and I give them a big hug. And then so thank you. I really appreciate that. I need that hug. And, I've had this happen a number of times, I believe. People will say, Christian, you do not even know how much that hug just touched me. People will say they just felt a sense of peace when I put my arms around them and give them a big hug.
He brings people to tears all the time. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, not only the hugs everywhere we go, but everywhere we go, he tells them his testimony. I cannot tell you how many times people are in tears so often within the first minute or two. The Holy Spirit is all over him. Let's just put it this way. If I had a dime for every time he's telling someone his story and they're just like crying. I mean, it's amazing. It's everywhere we go. Total strangers. Also around here, a lot of people know him because of his story. And so people will come up that have been praying for him and following his story from day one. And we've had him jumping up and down with excitement to I finally get to meet you. I've been praying for you all this time. And then others will come up and they're immediately just crying crocodile tears. He did that to people when he was lying in the hospital bed, not even talking. So in the very beginning, we were like, this is so strange. What's going on here? We knew it had to be. It was the Holy Spirit. It's just honest to it.
Well, Christian, I got to say, 6'7", you had to have some dreams before the accident. Mm-hmm. You had to have some things that you really were passionate about.
Yeah.
I remember being 16. Let me tell you, I was ready to go to ESPN. I know this comes as a shock to some, but I had it all planned out. I was going to go to the University of UConn. I was going to intern at ESPN. I was going to be on air by the time I graduated. I had a list of all these plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden something happened. It all got derailed. Now, mine wasn't as dramatic as your derailing. What was kind of your trajectory? Where were you kind of wanting to go?
If I could have, I would have loved to have gone to Norman to become an actual boomer sooner for college. Oklahoma University is in Norman. I think I said that already. But of course, I wanted to play college ball, and even for who knows, be a big whatever. But people say, several times people have said, you look like you would have probably gotten drafted into the NFL because of your height and your strength and anything else. Honestly, I used to be ripped. I mean, I'm still strong. I mean, I've got strong arms and all that other good stuff.
He's strong.
But back in the day, I was way stronger than I am now. And I mean, I would have loved to gotten drafted into the NFL. Yes, I'm not sure what team now. Because really, football doesn't really matter to me as much as it used to. You know, I mean, I still like to watch college ball, but
now
I am beyond thankful and blessed that I am a motivational speaker / evangelist, and I love that I'm encouraging people. I'm lifting people up. I'm opening doors for opportunity for people, and so much more, 101 more wonderful or beautiful things. So blessed.
If your mom wasn't in your life, fighting for you, going to get senators on your behalf, fighting healthcare systems, what do you think life would have looked like for you if mom had just given up and just quit?
I would be where I am right now. And all I know is I wouldn't be a motivational speaker. I would have never gotten into loving to help people. I've always been a gentleman to everyone. I've always been kind or respectful to anyone, wherever you are, wherever color your skin is, which that is not important at all to me. I mean, I treat everyone like their family. And I always believed in God. I always loved God, but I was never close to him like I am now. I mean, I pray I pray throughout the day several times. I mean, we driving down the road, I see somebody that looks like they need help, maybe the way they're dressed, or maybe it's a vehicle, it's like they've got some problems. I say pray for them that God will bless them, will help them get on their own two feet, help them maybe make more money for it may be, everyone's going through something. It may be a relationship, it may be a marriage, it may be work. I don't know. But just how God is always here with us. He's always going to help lift you, me, mom, anyone up. Just calling his name, the name above all names, the only name that is Jesus. And he's there for you. And also think about this, we all have a heavenly angel with us. Yes, we don't see the angel, but there is an angel with us. And I believe the angel protects us from bad things, maybe a drunk driver, maybe a bad relationship. It could be anything in an awesome God.
I want to say he's the most grateful person I've ever known. He will literally say things like, Mom, if this was the only jeans that I own, at least I've got these. He is so grateful for, if it's everything I do, we'll get in the car and he'll say, think of it, Mom, we have a car. We don't have to walk here. We have air conditioning. We have comfortable beds. Things that people don't normally say, he says it all the time. So he's very grateful.
How long was he in surgery again, like altogether? In
the actual hospital, the first time was 1 month, which, we couldn't believe it when they were shipping him out the door, because it's like, he didn't seem any better to us. Right. You know what I mean? But to them, they had kept him alive and there's no more we can do.
Right.
So 1 month at that point, and then when we came back to do the surgery to put the bone plates back in, it's about another 2.5 months. So the actual hospital, 3.5 months. We were gone from home for 2 years, but as soon as we got home in 2 years, we were home for like 3 weeks.
His whole recovery time from accident to now has been how long?
It will be 9 years, September the 1st.
Wow.
It'll be 9 years. He's 25 now, and he was 16 at the time.
16 at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Medical insurance is a nightmare. I've heard medical professionals talk about that. I've heard people who are in the industry who are writing policy, doctors, hospitals. It is a nightmare. It is a mess. It is a quagmire of all kinds of just pothole after nose after. It's just really hard to navigate. Do you have an estimate on medical bills that you paid out of pocket?
We didn't pay anything because we had Medicaid. We had no money. Money was a big problem. Because of that, he was able to get Medicaid and Medicare. So that paid for 100% of everything. There's been a lot of different, like right now, there's a place I want to take him to really bad. It's about $5,000. Medicaid doesn't pay for that. We've taken him to a specialist in Dallas. Medicaid didn't pay for that. Last year, I took him to a specialist in Pennsylvania. Medicaid didn't pay for that. I took him to a specialist in Chicago. They wouldn't pay for that. So there's been several places. And like I said, there's another place right now that I want to take him to. So it's always been fundraisers or GoFundMe, or like one of the facilities Julie Weintraub paid for. Oh, and then another facility, someone stepped up and paid for that out of their pocket. The woman that did this never paid a dime.
All these specialists you're taking him to, all these places and programs you're taking him to, Chicago, Pennsylvania, Dallas, all these other places that you're taking him to. What's the idea behind trying to take him to these places? Because
I find things that I think are going to make him better. His vision, as you can see, his left eye is kind of looks like a lazy eye. And that's because of the accident. And I thought that we would find hope for that. 2 different places that we went, but it didn't. Just places we thought could help.
So they're all designed to kind of help get him back to, I don't know if normal is the right word, but maybe pre-incident.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for your candidness on the financials. 8-year journey to get you where you are now, to where he's able to, have conversations. He's able to kind of live a relatively, I'm going to use again, I don't like the word, but normal life.
Yeah.
I have a friend that has a special needs kid. Now, special needs is a little different than this situation. He is developmentally delayed. But I asked my buddy one day, I said, what happens to your son if you and your wife aren't here to help him? Kim, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask that question.
Yeah. Kim doesn't have an answer to that question. I don't know. I don't even like to talk about that. I said, there's nothing that we can't talk about, but it's like, whoa, that is a big deal. And that is the $1 million question.
If we don't have that love and support of Jesus, where does our life go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does our life go? And Kim, by no means am I trying to put you on the level of Jesus, but Christian, I'm curious about this. Your mom talked about early on about how hard it was. She knows she needed to, but it was still hard. I felt like there was this pull and tug kind of mentality with the mom that was involved in the accident. Christian, you of all people really shouldn't forgive her. You should not want to have anything to do with her. You should be mad at her. Christian, in your namesake and even in your faith, you know what? God could give you a mulligan on that one. It's okay to not. You can forgive everyone else. Her, I'm going to give you a mulligan on. It's okay. You don't have to forgive this lady that left you to die for 3 hours. It's okay. But did he call you to do that?
I just felt in my heart, my spirit, my brain was telling me, you need to forgive her for what you've done, because, doesn't Jesus talk about give us if you can't forgive those? And it's like, ding, 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 ding. It's like, obviously. And of course, it's hard. It's hard. I'm talking for anyone who's listening. It's hard to forgive maybe an ex-spouse. It may be an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. Because y'all got into a big sissy fit, whatever, over whatever, but you got to forgive. You have to forgive. You have to forgive your enemies, your whatever it could be. You got to forgive, and what I do, I pray for her. I pray for those boys. They need help. They need God. They need to know that they're not left alone. No one's left alone. Always know that Jesus, the Messiah, our God, He's with you. He's with me. He's with Mom. And He's an understanding God. It can be 100, it could be alcohol, it could be...
Let me ask you this question.
Whatever.
Would you be doing as good as you are today if you hadn't forgiven her?
Not at all. I know that.
Yeah, that's a great question.
The devil would be controlling my brain. He would make me feel stupid, worthless, or whatever.
Angry.
I hate this life. I hate her. I hate whatever. But Jesus, God, He provides peace, happiness, love, grace, kindness.
And He told her face to face in the courtroom. We did our victim impact statement.
Yep.
He told her, that he forgave her and that she needs to get her life right with the Lord, that she is a mother of 7 and her children need to know Christ and she needs to know Christ. But he also said, how could you do this to me? How could you leave me laying there? She showed 0 remorse. She just sat there with literally a smirk on her face.
Smacking her jaw.
The courtroom was packed of supporters for Christian. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. She showed no emotion. When he said, I forgive you, nothing. I forgave her publicly as well. I didn't hold anything back on what we had been through, that my husband was now in a nursing home. I mean, his teenage years were stolen, prom, graduation, you name it. No driver's license, no job, 24/7, you name it. I mean, I described to her the surgery where they took out the 2 bone
plates.
Thank you, bone plates. The doctor literally described it as scalping him. I described it. We knew we had to forgive her, but I just want to say this. It wasn't easy. I don't want to make it sound like it was easy. And Christian went through probably a good 3 years of a lot of depression and anger and bitterness. And why did I come back? Why did I come back? But he is so much better now.
I want to give you guys an opportunity right now. Christian, now I know you want to be a motivational speaker. That's kind of what your heart's desire is. That's what you feel like God has laid on your heart. So right now, I want to give you an opportunity. If somebody is hearing you right now and they do have an event, they have a youth event or they have a high school or they have some kind of, event involving young people, how can somebody reach out to you right now and get connected with you?
They can contact on Facebook.
On Pray for Mayberry.
I like to call senseless. Now, I got to be honest with you. People are like, what is the deal with senseless? So let me help you. Sometimes in life, we need just kind of things that are just silly, senseless things. Just silly things that happen in life. So that's what kind of this is about. So I have a cup here. I apparently tried to order the Oklahoma Sooners cup, but Christian, I don't know what happened. They sent me this North Carolina cup instead, not an Oklahoma. So I don't know if I need to talk to Jeff Bezos and I need to talk to Amazon, but they sent me this cup. It was a North Carolina cup, not an Oklahoma cup. Are you okay with that?
Now.
Yeah, you should. Get your lawyers on that. I was very mad. I specifically said Oklahoma cup, and this is what they said.
You serious?
No, I'm teasing, of course. I would never order an Oklahoma cup. Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever. Kim, we're going to go ladies first, okay? So we got our cup here. There is a die in it. Look at that. There is a die proof. All right, here we go. All right, Kim, you got this one right here, and it's number 3. You see that there? It's even light blue. The die is even light blue, so it's really bad around here. Just saying. All right, so here we go. So, Kim, here's your question. It is this. What is a smell that when you get a whiff of it, you need to smell more of it?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, and we had some homemade chocolate chip cookies last night. So, boy, yeah, I'll go with that.
I got mine already.
You have to roll again, Christian. I'm not going to give you that question. I'm going to keep you on your toes, buddy. So I got to roll for you again. So, Christian, there's the die. Again, just proof that there is a die in there. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to roll for you. Let's shake it up really good. I want you to get a good question. Ooh. Yes, I was hoping you were going to get this question. Number 6. Now, you might remember we only have 5 senses, so 6 is like the wild card, okay? All right, 6 is this. 1 person. Do not invite 2. It is 1 person and 1 person only. 1 person you would love to spend the weekend with, and what would you do?
I got it. Who are you always talking to Jared about? I'm just saying. Well.
Yeah. Okay. And the question is, are you talking about meeting?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, meeting with or hanging out with. You get a weekend with this person. Only 1 person. Though.
And that would be Blake Shelton, the artist, singer, country. And see, Jared, he actually went to school with Blake Shelton.
Who's Jared?
Jared is man writing our documentary.
Filming our documentary.
Sorry. Yeah. And we're best friends now. He's a wonderful man. He's an actor. He writes documentaries. He played Jesus in a few different movies.
Blake's here in Oklahoma all the time. What do you want to do with Blake? Besides meet Gwen.
What are you trying to say? I'd flirt with her?
My hands up on that, by the way. I wouldn't mind meeting
Yeah.
you either. So there you go.
It just maybe you become his friend, possibly. I mean, I know their age difference.
Maybe go fishing. You've talked about
go
going fishing with him.
fishing, or go get a good steak somewhere, or just to talk, be able to talk together. Maybe I can meet some of his friends and I could bless them by telling them my story and telling them about Jesus, about how he forgives us, he will forgive you, he loves us.
Yeah, what is it you always say? You want to meet Blake so that you can, what you just said, that you can bless him.
Get to bless
That's what he
him
says
and
all the time.
hopefully I'll be able to help him want to know God more, believe in God more. Help people hear the name that is Jesus, the name above all names. Because, I mean, think about like his Facebook page. He has like, I'd have to look, I follow him, like 13 or 14 million, 600,000 followers. And I understand that he's one of the most famous, well-known country singers in the US. But, or think about if we could do a video together of me telling him my story. And of course, he asks questions. I mean, I've done that several times with people. I tell them, and they give me questions, and I give them answers. Just like, if we could share that on his social pages or whatever.
Well, guys, I want to say thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you both. Kim, Christian, thank you guys for giving us some moments today. So guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is the end of our show today. And let me tell you right now, whether you believe, whether you don't, whether you're a skeptic or whether you're a follower, whether you're a fanatic or you're still on the fence, let me tell you this. The power of forgiveness is so often forgotten. It's so easy to delete somebody. It's so easy to cancel. It's so easy to remove them from your phone. It's so easy to unlike, unsubscribe, unfollow. I'm never going to talk to you again. We're not best friends anymore. But let me tell you right now, not only did we hear a mother's heart today, but we heard the heart of a man who has been radically changed by an event. And let me ask you this question. What's it going to take for you to have your life radically changed to the point where you're changed forever? And let me tell you, if you're still holding on to bitterness, you're still drinking that poison, how's that tasting? Does it taste good? Does it taste great? Does it satisfy you? Because if it doesn't, take a play out of my buddy Christian's playbook. Forgive. Now, has he let it go? No. Has he forgiven? Yes. We're not asking you to let it go. Some scars never heal until you get to heaven. But I am asking you to lay it down. So if you do that this week, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. OPSpodcast.com is a great place to let me know. There's a connections page there. There's a voicemail there. Let us know there. You can also let us know on social media at OPS Podcast Show under Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And don't forget this. Do not ever forget. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes.